Hi, Allie here. Look at that beautiful Texas sunset behind us. The only thing not beautiful about Texas is obviously the medical treatment I've been receiving, or not receiving, I should say. Um, Basically, I'm just giving you all an update. This is my heart rate monitor they placed on. I have to wear it to see what's going on exactly, because something is definitely going on. I went from working out twice a day, competing in bodybuilding shows. I was an EMT, I was a personal trainer, I was in the military for a little bit of time in the Army. Like, I've always been a very physical person my whole life. I even went to culinary school for a while. Like, I always was very active, always wanted to be on my feet doing things. So it just really never made a lot of sense to me why they would brush me off so much. Like, I'm not the kind of person that wants to, like, lay down and sleep all day or can't move, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. But basically, last week I had that really bad rheumatology appointment, and he told me to call him back after he did some more research. And the research he did was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Um, Basically, he contacted some random infectious disease doctor that told him the reason they don't want to take patients to treat Lyme disease, even though I have a very, very positive spinal tap. The thing about spinal taps is once they're positive, they're never going to, you'll always have antibodies. They'll never not be positive. Like, it's just like if you drop acid, it's always going to show up in your spinal fluid. Well, mine not only has antibodies, like a high antibody count, it's active. It has a high panel for infection, an active infection. And on top of that, my white blood cell count was very elevated, particularly my lymphocytes. So that means, there's an active infection. So he tried to explain to me, which isn't explaining, because basically it was going the other way around with me explaining to him why what he was saying isn't right. He was saying, the test you took, the spinal tap, is not very accurate. A spinal tap is the most accurate test you can ever take. He wanted me to go back and retake those blood tests I'd already taken 6 times that were negative, because when you have CNS Lyme, when it's so far progressed, it's already embedded in your brain and spine and your heart and in your tissues and stuff. It doesn't, for most people, it won't even show up in their blood anymore. Like, it'll only show up 35% of the time in the regular blood tests they get for Lyme's. And that's only usually in the early stages after you've produced like a few antibodies. Like, after you've had an infection for a really long time, nothing will show up. That's why the spinal tap was so important. So he tried to say, well, if you get these tests redone and they actually come out positive this time, I can put a good word in and this doctor might take you. Well, in 2011, they passed a state law in Texas saying that doctors had to be educated on diagnosing, treating, and preventing Lyme disease. So not only are you breaking the law by not taking me on as a patient and treating me, you're trying to treat by CDC standards, which is proven to be ineffective and illegal in relation to this law. Like, this law actually prevents doctors from getting any like legal action taken against them for using long-term treatment therapies, which is what patients need. So it protects doctors and it also protects patients. It allows them to receive the treatment they need. But it doesn't do anything if nobody will take you on as a patient. So this law was made so people didn't have to travel out of Texas to get help. But look, it hasn't changed anything. I still have to travel out of state. So that was the call I got when I was waiting for my new doctor to come in today, my allergist, because I figured, my immune system's so low. When I get treated, I need to bring it back up. So I need to find currently everything I'm allergic to. So he took a bunch of blood work today, and in 2 weeks when that comes back, he's going to do, the blotting tests all over and find out all my current allergies. But basically, I told him, the whole story. I told him, I have seizures. I actually did a full spin around on I-20 a few weeks ago. This was the day before I was diagnosed with CNS Lyme. So, like my seizures are like, they're not typical seizures. I'll be like frozen in place for like maybe like 10 to 15 seconds, and I'm pretty aware of what's going on around me. But it'll be like, or I'll be like, I don't know, I can't even do it. There's actually a video I think my husband took of me. This is the day before I was admitted to the hospital. I don't even know if you can see it. But it's the day before I was admitted for 3 weeks. See, like, I didn't even know I was doing that. So I'll either have those. So we think they're petite mal, not grand mal, but I'll go back for like the follow-up testing next week. But basically, it's kind of just like being frozen. Like there's like a disconnect between my head and the rest of my body. I don't really know how to explain it. But the rheumatologist also said he wouldn't even check me for arthritis. He said that you don't have Lyme arthritis. Like, I mean, I don't know what, that's like my leg. Like, I don't know what you consider Lyme arthritis to be, but I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And the immunologist today agreed. He said, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, a normal person absolutely will never have that show up in their spinal tap. There's no false positive for Lyme in your spinal tap. That just doesn't happen. These doctors are just, I don't really know. Like, you can only protect yourself, your liability so much until, like, at what point is there a fine line between protecting yourself and killing people? Because that's like all the stuff I'm going through is unnecessary right now. Like, I don't really understand their logic, because I mean, I used to work out twice a day and compete. Like, that was I had a literal six-pack. Like, that working out is my favorite thing to do in the world. And now when I stand up, I just get dizzy and I want to pass out and I can't move like I used to. My limbs, like, I have the worst spasticity. I can't even straighten my arms or my legs all the way anymore. Like, what normal person would wish that upon themselves? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But I guess 1 out of 3 doctors believing me isn't too bad. It's just like the cysts in my face. I showed him, when they swell up, like, I'll have like giant lumps, like there's something going on there around my jaw, like, and they still refuse to look at all this evidence and see that, yeah, that's very real, the infection. I just don't really even know how to get it across to some of these doctors anymore. The only thing we really can do is write the governor, which I've done. I have to mail it out to him, but 1 week from tomorrow is my appointment out of state to get treated, and I'm hoping I can make it until then. I've been having a pretty good few days. Like, I just lose my train of thought all the time. But that's what's going on right now. Whenever I have a few good days, it usually is followed by about a month of not being able to move, not being able to do anything. But we'll see. Just y'all keep sharing my fundraiser and helping me out, because as it stands right now, I don't really know what else to say. Oh, I think the state is cutting off. They were giving me Adderall, 10 milligrams twice a day. So, I've been in such incredible pain. I went to that rheumatologist to get help with my arthritis. And, I had to take CBD oil, which legally in Texas, it has 0.3% THC in it, and it's legal. Well, I have to take a drug test every other month to get my Adderall prescribed to me, because that's like the only way I even get any, even go to an appointment and crawl out of bed when I need to. And they were supposed to call in my prescription 2 weeks ago, and they haven't done that yet. So I called the office today, and I think my drug test obviously popped for THC. So I mean, they're aware that I have an active infection in my brain and spine, and how much pain I'm in, and how I can't, take painkillers because of all my organ issues and my infections and stuff. So I don't know if they're going to still give it to me. I think they're holding off because of my heart. But it's really bullshit that if I'm about to get punished for, treating my pain the only way I can, because no one will physically help me. But that's what's going on right now. Y'all keep sharing my fundraiser and donate if possible. I love you guys. Thank you. Bye.